Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on the markets. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Before we get started, guys, I would just want to say I really appreciate everybody that took the time not only to like, but to comment on that last video as well. Absolutely blown away by the response from the community. Truly can ask and you will receive. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to give back like that. I have one for you this week, though. I want to see if we can beat that number. That would be pretty cool if we get even more response. And this is a simple one. I want to know, 6 months from now, do you think Bitcoin's price is going to be higher than it is right now or lower than it is right now? So in 6 months, will it be higher or lower? I want you to put just higher or lower in the comments. You can put whatever else you want, explaining why or whatever also, but just higher or lower is all I want to see. I want to do like a little poll and see overall if the community is more bullish or more bearish, and I will put a response in there as well. So but that's enough of that. Let's get right into it. Let's start first with Bitcoin. Obviously I got the split charts going on today, so we got that breakdown, and you'll notice here we got it down to the 377. That's what's going on here in white. That white moving average down here that's coming up, that's our 377. So when the wick came down to it, that was a beautiful move right there. I took the move off of the white line. It was actually yellow. I changed the color on it. But you could have took it off the red line either. But essentially this area was that cluster I was talking about of support. So we got in the short up here. We got in the long down here. And now look, we're taking profits right here. We're done. This was our move that we called out, where I was talking about I wouldn't be surprised if we got that Bart Simpson move right back up. We got it. That was our move, okay? If we take this piece right here from the wick down there to the top, we hit the move. So that's done. I took profits right here at the 9,600 range. I still think we could potentially get a move up higher, all the way back up to like the heart line, or at least to the yellow line right here. Anywhere up as high as 9,800. But I don't think that that's as likely. The oscillator indicators are exhausted over here. We're failing basically at this point to hold. I think this was essentially like the retest of the golden crosses, and we're going to get rejected right here. It's important to pay attention to our high right here, our lower high, and then another lower high right here if we don't come up at least as high as 9,900. And then you notice also, obviously, you know, we came down for the low right here, the low right here, the low right here. So we're clearly in at least a temporary downtrend. There's no denying that. So regardless of the longer time frame trend that we have going on, we are clearly in a downtrend on the shorter time frames now as well. So we need to keep that in mind. This is essentially what we have going on currently, something to this effect. So that's important to pay attention to. That looks like it lines up pretty well. You see, obviously, we get the connection here. It's off just slightly right there, but that could easily be corrected with just a little adjustment there. And then you'll notice here now the green heart line through the middle was getting respected all through here. Price was getting held down, and then it was getting support, broke straight down through it, and then it was getting respected as resistance, broke down, and then broke back through it. So now I would expect it to continue acting as support right here as well. So we'll pay attention to this channel, and as always, this chart is available for free in the description, so you can grab this and throw it up on your screen as well, or you can replicate it. I have videos breaking down exactly how I draw like all this stuff, and then you can watch for like some of the shorter time frame things. So but what right now I would essentially expect us to oscillate in this area right here, and then finally, like, you know, this to essentially form like a flat bottom as we get over here on this support, and then, you know, get the break basically back down to the bottom of the channel, or you know, at least to the top of the channel, and then back to the middle, etc. So that's what I would be looking out for currently. So, and then if we just flip over now, let's take a look at SPY. And you remember the last thing we said in that previous video was we found support right here that I would expect this to hold and get a retest back up, possibly or most likely as high as to fill the gap. And the gap was at 318 on SPY. So we're almost there. We're at 315 right now. We obviously gapped up pretty massively considering The other day we gapped down to 300. So that's a very nice move there. Even if we don't get up all the way to fill that gap, we're close enough at this point in time that, once again, you don't want to get greedy. You want to take profits on that trade as the markets are getting exhausted. We're losing the support on the TJD, TDMACD. You'll see we still have it for now. We're getting like that bounce right there. But if we don't continue to the upside now and essentially like take out that high, we're going to lose it. And then we're going to flip that over red eventually. But the histogram is going to be underneath it, and we're going to start getting that selling back off. So, and I think that's what's actually getting ready to happen once we do fill that gap. And again, it's the same exact thing on the Dow as on the S&P. So, showing you this is just basically showing you the thing I just showed you. But, we get back down to the middle after we called this whole move out perfectly. Got the move back up here, back on top of support. And again, we could get the move back up as high as 26,918 to fill that gap. I'm less bullish on the Dow Jones, so I wouldn't get too ahead of yourself on this one. And then now on Bitcoin, just like I said, we got the test down perfectly, got the test back up perfectly, and now look, we're already selling back off. And what happened essentially right there is we were trying to maintain that moving average. We were trying to stop that moving average cross. So when we were down here and this was all red and everybody was posting videos, this was just a huge massive red candle. Everybody was posting videos about how we're going to 3,500, and I was telling you, we're coming down here to test basically these moving averages. Well, look, it got bought straight back up, and it came all the way back up exactly like I said to try to stop these moving averages from flipping over. So it was trying to stop the red one from going under the yellow one and save this trend the same way we did back here. We came back down and we saved the trend with this massive green candle getting back above, and then the red responds faster and we're able to get continuation. So that's what they were trying to do with this. It was a massive red candle down here and dragged, already crossed over, but I said you got to wait for the actual closure cross, and then even then it can still get picked up. But I mean, that's why I took that swing trade off the bottom right here. We came all the way back up, and I said 95 to 9,600, and I think it was 95, 96. So I would count that as 95 to 9,600, as that's pretty much 9,600 exactly. And then took our profits up there. I would expect us to close still below this. I still think we're going down. But, essentially the way the parabolic SAR and, the way all this works, we could essentially get a move back up all the way to the top of the parabolic SAR at like 10.4 right here. Take that out now, the negative one, and then sell back off. So that's why you have to be like, quick on the trigger and know what's going on in these markets. Because like I said, that Bart Simpson yesterday probably wrecked a ton of people that were late to the short party, so sure that was selling off and the cross was going to happen, and then boom, they just got wrecked on that move back up. Meanwhile, you have people like me that are entering more shorts now to get continuation now to the downside. So you just, you have to be careful and pay attention to who's one step behind on everything. It's so funny seeing how many people are just one step behind every single day, completely wrong. But if you don't pay attention to it, you wouldn't notice. So, but yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful move. I consider that essentially to be like an attempt to save the trend. But at this point in time, it looks like it's going to be a failed attempt to save the trend. We'll see what happens though. Again, depending on what happens in the traditional markets, if they start massively selling off after they fill that gap, it's going to be even more likely that you're going to see like continued sell-off in Bitcoin and crypto. But the most important thing is on the daily, pay attention. We're selling off. We're in a confirmed downtrend. The histogram is below the slope line, and the slope line is red. We're bouncing off of the 50-55 moving averages, but the next moving average that we haven't tested now to the downside is going to be the 89, and that's coming in right now at 8,800. So that's our 8,800 target that we've been talking about down here. This looks like it's going to confirm the cross if we don't get strength. Now, granted, we still have 9 hours of the day, so we could move up here and prevent the cross and continuation. We could bounce around, we could sell off, a lot could happen in the meantime. But the most important thing is right where we're at right now, where we're finding this resistance at 9,500, If we don't get above that, the cross will happen to the downside as long as price action is below that point. So because the moving averages are right there and we're right at that point, this is an inflection point on the market, and one of those opportunities, like we talk about all the time, where you can take a very low risk trade off of this. You can enter a position trade to the upside or to the downside, whichever way you think is more likely to happen, because you're essentially at the decision point. So then you can see very quickly from the point where we're at right here at 9,500, if price continues to the upside, it's going to look very clearly like we're preventing the cross and we're going to continue to the upside, and the trend is being saved. Or vice versa, if we stay below this price long enough, we're going to start selling off and we're going to get a massive dump, and it's going to be very clear that the trend is exhausted, at least in the meantime, and we're going to sell off for a correction or potentially continue to the downside. So that's what we need to pay attention to. And once again, we're at a key inflection point in the market. We're expecting a massive move, sometime in the very near future. Let's switch over to the weekly here and see what's going on. Once again, we're outside of our resistance area, finding it as support here. So depending what happens on this week, it's obviously just the beginning of the week, but this attempted push back up is essentially us trying to find support on this area. But a continued sell-off, basically anything back under like 9,000 is going to put us back inside of this area, and then we're going to get like that strong continuation. And we bounce exactly off of the 50 and the 8. So once again, if we come down here, 85.39 is going to be our next moving average target to the downside. We did get our histogram above the slope line. It's still red on the TJD TDMACD. I'm going to tell you right now, if this slope line switches back over to blue, I'm going to go long again, because this blue and red slope line is probably one of the most reliable indicator oscillators that I have or use, especially on longer time frames. So and that's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Although we're losing momentum to the upside and starting to curl over, we could easily get a move like this where we curl over and then strengthen again. We have entered the red or distribution zone, but as you can see, that does not just mean you need to just sell off your corn or anything like that. Last time we got the histogram above the slope and then flipped it over blue, we got like a few 100% to the upside. So if that happens again, that's going to look like we found support right here and got a massive burst to the upside and are probably going to be retesting the highs, which at this point in time I would not rule out completely. And then on the monthly, you can see basically we're still in the same spot until this month ends and we can get a better idea as to whether or not these are going to cross or save and continue to the upside, or not get saved and cross back to the downside. So we're still at that inflection point. We haven't seen a ton of resolution, but the shorter time frame stuff is starting to look more bearish. But in the meantime, we have to just keep an eye on the markets and see where everything's playing out. The short-term move that we did get right there was able to flip back over our moving averages, but at the same time, we're still right here at the cross basically. So any continued move to the downside now is just going to go right back under it, and we're going to get that continuation. So once again, we're not trying to get greedy on this. We got the exact Bart Simpson move we were talking about, back up to 95, 9,600. Was like nice, I think 5 or 6% move. So just with a like modest 3D or 5x leverage, you can do extremely well with with just a little bit of capital on just small moves like that, just taking the easy trades when you see them. So, and that's what this is all about. It's about learning how to take the easy trades, and then as you get more confident and you get on a roll, you can take some of the riskier ones or let it ride just a little bit more. But the most important thing is just identifying like the high success rate, high likelihood moves, and then you're taking less of a chance on those because you're using your market like strategic advantage, as opposed to just saying like, let's flip this coin. You have a distinct identifiable, repeatable advantage. And that's why moving averages, stochastics, and MACD are so great, is they're all just very simple, very easy, and very measurable. And it's the same thing, with all the indicator oscillators that I use. If you're looking for something that's just super simple, just to learn with, and it's very clear and very easy to use, I highly recommend TJD Stoch slope. All it does is literally combine the stochastics into a single line, and then it turns the line red and blue. So when it's red, you're in a downtrend. When it's blue, you're in an uptrend. And if you go back and do a simple back test on it, on just about any asset with the stock settings on it, it has it's something ridiculous. It has something like a 75% success rate for a simple basic indicator, depending on what time frame you put it on. So it's just a simple one to get used to, and then you can get a little more complicated with stuff after that, and use some of the more complicated indicator oscillators to remove some of the false signals that you're getting, which again is only 25% of the time or whatever. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, taking a look at a couple different assets. Appreciate all the support, and make sure you let me know what you think 6 months from now. Is Bitcoin crypto going to be higher or lower? And if you want to explain why, feel free as well. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.